What's the crack? Welcome back to the Irish Boys podcast. Another week, another change in time and days. We're going to go for a Monday now, which means that Mum will probably have this out by Tuesday, Wednesday, Mum?
Friday.
What?
Thought we're putting it out on Friday for the weekend crowd.
I don't know. What do you think you should ask him on? Right, so 4 topics for tonight. First topic is going to be who got it right. Was it Amorim or was it Ange Postecoglou? 2 losses for Tottenham and Manchester United, 2 very different approaches to the game. We'll have a crack about that. Second one I want to talk about is the breaking news: Matheus Cunha is set to sign for Manchester United. It's through now. Sky Sports have just announced.
Sky Sports, yeah.
The third one is we're going to have a look forward towards the Spurs game. We'll talk about who it's bigger for. We'll talk about what way we see that game going. And then fourth, we'll do the usual match predictions for it. So first off, right, whoever wants to answer this first, what was your opinion and reaction to the team that played against Chelsea?
Do you want me to go first?
Sorry, Kieran, go ahead.
I don't mind. Either way.
I personally think that Amorim got it right. I think the only thing that I was concerned about was somebody picking up an injury. But I think he got it right because he wants that match rhythm to keep it going. I know Postecoglou, he wanted to rest players, for Wednesday nights. But we'll see on Wednesday night who got it right and who got it wrong. But me personally, I think Amorim got it right.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kieran?
I would kind of agree there, and I think I think Postecoglou would be more concerned about the amount of injuries he's picking up at the minute, and I think that's tailored into his approach at the weekend. I think if he didn't have as many injuries or they're dropping like flies at the minute, the Spurs team, especially important players for them, I think if it was more of a settled team on that front, I think it would have been maybe a different approach for him. But I don't think he wanted to risk. Like, you imagine he played in games the weekend, full strength, and maybe lost Son or Solanke.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of like, well, who do I have left that can do any damage in the final or win us that final? He's lost that many already, but I think I would agree there that Ruben Amorim, I think that would be my approach, because there's such a big gap between then and the final. I think he said now we played the game now, they'll have a day rest, a couple of training sessions, and then travelling as well. So, well, time will tell, like you said, but that's what I would be doing. And having that rhythm, and for one over, we'll probably touch on it anyway. But I thought, for the first 70 minutes at least, apart from the scoring goals as usual, what I've said stick us in every week, but the press was good. It looked like I was close to the team he's maybe thinking of for the final. And, that's the team I would go for. They looked cohesive, was the word.
Do you think that's Man United's first team?
Close enough to.
Who would you change? Who would you have changed on, like, if you had a fully fit Manchester United team with no injuries, who would you have changed?
Fully fit. I wouldn't have Højlund there.
Xerxes?
Oh, he offers more than Højlund, I think.
What? He has no assists and no goals in 2025.
He can hold the ball up better than Højlund can. That's my opinion.
But he hasn't scored a goal or assisted in 2025.
On the back line. Yeah, there's Højlund.
Højlund scored in the Europa League. Højlund literally scored against Bilbao.
Yeah, that's fine, but I don't like Højlund, so that's my opinion.
I don't get that opinion.
He can't hold it.
Joshua Xerxes to me is awful. I don't get the appeal.
But we don't have anything else. But, did you watch Højlund against Chelsea?
What would Xerxes have done different?
But you have to try something else. You can't just. He doesn't need to offer anything at all. Højlund, I don't think.
I think he holds the ball up very well, though, Kieran.
He lost the ball every time.
He does bring all the players in.
But he lost it all every time, and at the weekend there. And he always loses it, and he can't. He just gets bullied.
I don't know. I don't think Xerxes would have done too much more than are we saying that Xerxes backs in the defenders and holds the ball up? We better than him.
Not even Xerxes. I'm saying, even does he go with the false 9 for the final, or does he just stick with Highland? Because he has. I know you said he has scored in that competition, which he has. Fair enough. But does he just stick with Highland then, or does he go on the performances there?
I think there were positives in the Chelsea game in terms of Manchester United's press was a bit better, and there was passing, and there was movement and stuff like that. And I do think if they had played the same way they played for the first 20 minutes, at least, they would have beat Spurs. But there are parts of it that I thought were utter bullshit as well. I thought Bruno Fernandes gave the ball away for the crack the other night. Ahmed Diallo didn't have too much success in trying to take the Chelsea boys on, neither did Mason Mount. I thought Chelsea put in a really functional, solid defensive effort the other night, the way they squeezed midfield and defence and held in against Hoyland to force him into the space to have to come back. And he did fail out of the lot. I just don't know what Joshua Zirkzee gives you that Rasmus Hoyland doesn't. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying. I understand. I get what you're trying to say, but all I'm trying to say is that, look, watching Hoyland is getting so frustrating. I know Joshua Zirkzee mightn't do much better, but it's just it's a different option for me, and it's, I think Zirkzee holds the ball better than Hoyland.
I don't think that any striker is going to survive in that current Manchester United setup, and that's where I get a wee bit frustrated with the same. It's the merry-go argument of Hoyland's crap, put Zirkzee in, Zirkzee doesn't score. Oh, but Zirkzee gives you more, he can hold the ball up, not one assist to his name. And it's like, just accept the fact that Manchester United are an absolute siege to strikers. Name me the last striker, Ruben Amorim in the current system and Rasmus Hoyland aside, that really succeeded at Manchester United. You'd have to look at Zlatan. Do you know Zlatan? Cavani only did it in bits and pieces, and I don't accept the substitute as a good representation of a striker. Cavani, I don't remember starting 10 games and going on a consistent scoring run. It was more Cavani came off the bench and scored a goal, and he got the same bullshit that Man United fans give Cheeto Obi. Oh, did you see Obi the other night in 17 minutes that he fucking played? He was brilliant. He should get a chance. No, that's not football. It's kind of like Mason Mount in the past 2 games has not set the world on fire. Mason Mount off the bench against Bilbao looked incredible, right? And anyone that's played football knows that if you come off the bench against a tired team or in a different set of emotions, or you're a wee bit different to what they've defended against for 60, you can catch them. You can do something different that complements the game. So all of this to say, I don't think Manchester United have an out-and-out striker. I don't think Hoyland being up front is the problem. I think the fact that United can't play with a striker is the bigger issue. I don't think whoever he picks up front in that Spurs game is going to have a particularly nice night on Wednesday night. It's going to be a lot of feeding off shit and a lot of running into deep positions when United have to play the higher ball to do absolutely nothing. I mean, when Hoyland got his wee snips, Kieran, he landed himself onto the ball. When you turned around and you looked in the arc around him, they were running up to try and come to Hoyland. So there's never like a moment where he could turn around and go, right here, take the ball. It was always this holding up and then having to muscle in and try and wait for the people to join him. There were passes of the Chelsea game I thought were brilliant, and there was passes but I thought this is nonsense.
This is the same
long ball tactic, hoofing the ball up to the striker to hold it. He can hold it up to bring other players into the game. Not particularly attractive for a manager that prides himself in possession football.
No.
What did you think, Mum?
I agree. I think there was passages of encouragement with that Man United side against Chelsea. But then again, we looked so disjointed at other times.
Giving the ball away. So, the sloppy possession, the passing triangles that we just can't seem to pull off. And I have to say, I think now, the more I watch them try and play it, it's player profiles as opposed to Man United making mistakes. Casemiro was the only one I thought had a decent game.
Yeah, well, Casemiro was really, we keep going back to him. He has, upped his game. He's gotten even better shape. Whether he's maybe he is looking at that move away in the summer, hoping to attract a bad buyer, a big contract. Maybe he wants to stay. Don't know, but that experience will be valuable either way. But I know the wages and financial fair play and all that there, but I don't know what's going to happen in the summer. But Casemiro is probably been Ruben's best player this last couple of months.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin your Monday, Kieran, but the more I watch that Chelsea game, the more I'm convinced that Casemiro stays and Bruno Fernandes is out the door, Paul.
Don't say that to me.
It just doesn't suit. It just doesn't look like he's functional in there, but you're taking all the beauty and the joy of Bruno Fernandes as a 10 out of him to play him in where he suits functionally in that system, and I just don't think you can do that with a £100 million commodity. You know, if it was a Kobe Manu and you were shoehorning Manu in there, you would think, okay, he's a young kid, we can do that to him. But not even from the point of like, can we do this to Bruno Fernandes? Is Bruno Fernandes going to want this? Is Bruno Fernandes looking at the new setup as a football team and thinking, oh yes, I'm really excited to play as the Man United 6? I don't think so. Because he's not going to be able to get involved and score the goals and do the assisting and get into that brilliant side of the game that he loves. And when you look at the 10s, I thought Mount and Jallo were much better as 10s because they showed for the ball.
Yeah. I think even when they try and play Bruno in that 6, he ends up drifting into the 10 at their 10, and then leaves them.
Can't hold his position.
You know, and leaves them in, and then tries the Hollywood pass, which does work at times, but when the ball gets lost and then you're caught with one midfielder, and scrambling back, I know we've been a bit more sure of ourselves defensively in the setup, but it doesn't help in a game when you're leaving one whole midfielder by themselves on the break.
I agree, and I think Ruben Amorim isn't a defensive coach. Manchester United are being defensive because I think he has come in and been absolutely shocked at what Manchester United can't do as a football team. So they are playing a wee bit more solidly and a bit less. I tell you what, see the first 20 to 30 minutes in that game the other night was the first time I seen Manchester United let loose a wee bit with passing. They weren't afraid to make mistakes, even though they made them in abundance. But they looked as if they were willing to try the pass, to try and get beyond Chelsea. It just didn't work. Because I think, technically, Man United still have a really poor setup. Casemiro doesn't fill me full of confidence in an overtly passing team. If you look at what he played with at Real Madrid, where he made his kind of career, you can't get it wrong when Luka Modric and Toni Kroos are on the pitch.
No, they're the passers.
Do you know what I mean? Like when you come to technical passing of the ball, two absolute masters. Is Bruno Fernandes a master of the short pass? Probably not. Brilliant at other things, but not at that. Mason Mount, meh. Jallo, probably not his game. Højlund, as Kieran rightfully points out, really, really had a torrid time trying to hold the ball up the other night against Aridabeo. I thought Aridabeo was brilliant with him because he just stood him up and muscled him every time.
Yeah. I thought Caicedo was absolutely phenomenal.
Caicedo was incredible. He was brilliant.
So just reminded me of Kante-esque. I got this, lads. Go do your thing. Yeah, I'll win the ball. I get it to you. Break the play up. Thought he was very, very man of the match. I think for Chelsea.
I think but not to be too negative. The one encouraging sign is they're pushing for top 4. Chelsea. Okay, with arguably, no, I would say arguably, in my opinion, the best midfield in the Premier League in Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, and Moise Caicedo, when they're all singing on song, frightening amount of talent, and very, very young, and will only get better. Okay, and Manchester United still stayed in there. Only Cucurella got that goal. United could have had 1 or 2. Chelsea could have had 1 or 2. It swung like a pendulum.
Disallowed. But Maguire's shoulder.
Maguire is fractionally offside, and then it's build a statue talks again. So
premature.
It leads me into this. Matheus Cunha is coming to Manchester United. Okay, will Bruno Fernandes benefit as a 6 in Matheus Cunha's movement, or is the Bruno Fernandes problem deeper in the sense that he probably shouldn't be the 6?
It's a hard call. So I was thinking have you noticed this week Bruno Fernandes has done more interviews about Ruben Amorim and his position in the team and what he's learning from Ruben Amorim as a coach, and he's coming out and saying that he loves to learn and he's learning every day with this coach and the setup and the coaching staff. That I think it sounds to me that he's being coached to play the 6, and maybe he does want to say it, but I don't know. Just something I picked up from the pressers and interviews that he's done on the socials this last week or two. But it could be time, like we said last week. It could be he's coming 31 in a few months. There's going to be a team coming in here. If the team slaps 125 million, 100 million on the table for Bruno Fernandes, you just take it.
I don't think they turned down
with
100
both
million.
hands.
Sorry, but Bruno, but thank you for your service, but this is a big rebuild and you don't fit the system.
Where's he rumoured to go, Mum?
Saudi?
To who?
No, I can't remember the name of the club, but apparently his representatives have met 3 times with his club. So you don't meet with a club 3 times unless there is a possibility of you going.
Yeah.
I think Bruno would want Saudi though.
Well, they're his representatives, Kieran. Like, you would turn around and say, don't go near any Saudi club because I'm not interested. But apparently, and it's been in a couple of outlets, that this is the 3rd time that they've met.
Yeah.
Now, my opinion of Bruno Fernandes, phenomenal player, but does not fit that system. And I'll tell you why, right? Because when Cunha comes in, I would pair Cunha and Mount. And I think that's why Casemiro was left exposed at the start of the season, because Bruno Fernandes was coming deep or playing a bit deeper, and there was no protection then. Casemiro has been isolated.
Yeah.
So where do you shoehorn him in? And that has been Man United's problem for years now. Shoehorning players in. That has to stop.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think...
We need the right players in the right position.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a big job as well for Wilcox and Vivell.
It is.
Awesome.
It is.
This season
Because they're going to earn their money this
But
summer.
you can no longer suffer reputation over the fit. Do you know what I mean? It's not. No one is denying that Bruno Fernandes is not an incredibly good footballer, okay? But an incredibly good footballer in the wrong system can look like an incredibly average footballer. And even in this position that I think he doesn't suit, he's doing well, but not well enough. He doesn't lead to a cohesive attack and he doesn't lead to a cohesive defence because he just does things that we don't want to do, philosophically as a football team. And that is, the main one is the giving the ball away. I think Ruben Amorim would rather him not play the Hollywood pass and just try and keep the ball in amongst his own players, but he doesn't want to do that. And when it comes off, it looks amazing. It looks absolutely brilliant. But if you want the team to progress and you want the team to learn to play as a unit, I don't think Bruno Fernandes needs to be there. I won't mind if he is there next year. He's a really, really talented boy. And I think he could play in games as a 10 and he could play in games as a 6 and he could still be captain and all these great things. But I'm not going to be... It won't break my heart to see Fernandes go. Because I think at the minute... he feels to me like what Juan Mata felt like. Everyone got this impression that I hated Juan Mata. I didn't hate Juan Mata. I hated Juan Mata at Man United. You had a 10 playing as a winger when we didn't play with a 10. It didn't make fucking sense at all. Do you know what I mean? And then we've got Bruno Fernandes, who's an out and out 10 playing as our left forward or our centre midfielder. To me, it doesn't make sense. So I'd rather see £100 million come through the door and it be invested in the money that's going to Cunha as our left forward, or take some of that money and go and invest it in a young midfielder. Maybe there's an option there that I haven't considered that could play even better than Bruno Fernandes plays in midfield, because as Mum said, he can do the dual role of getting forward, keeping things tick over, but protecting Casemiro. So then we don't have to be looking, because I think if you're going to keep Bruno Fernandes, you would need an upgrade on Ugarte and Casemiro, because Ugarte and Bruno don't look gelled. Casemiro and Bruno look better, but still a bit weak.
Yeah, but that's why they're looking at Ederson from Atalanta.
Atalanta, yeah. For 47 million or something?
Something around that.
Around that figure.
I think it's a bit bigger because Atalanta said they're not letting him go for less than €60 million.
Yeah.
But get a good negotiator in there and you can get that down.
Get it down a bit.
Who's that, Ederson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would take Ederson in a heartbeat, but I haven't seen these. Like, is it just rumors? I tell you where my head goes to that one, right? If we're going to play rumours and bullshit.
Sorry, Rory, to interrupt. This is from TalkSport.
So everything that I've seen so far lends to Manchester United having a very heavily Premier League focused transfer window. They're going for Cunha. They want Liam Delap. There's talks that we want Demi Martinez to do nets.
Yeah,
I've seen that today.
Apparently,
there's an offer for
him. Apparently they have inquired very early doors as to whether Martinez would consider coming to join Manchester United. because Aston Villa could potentially not play in the Champions League this next season, but United could be. So Cunha is coming in regardless. Liam Delap looks like he wants to come, and it looks like that's the option we're pursuing. Emi Martinez to come in as goalkeeper. Ederson just doesn't line up to me in terms of like a game plan.
Well, it might be the majority that he wants Premier League proven, and then there might be an odd one that they like of Ederson. And apparently, is it Anton Semenyo? Plays for Bournemouth.
Yeah.
They're looking at him.
That would make sense.
He's an old 10. He's another 10, isn't
Don't
he?
know much about him. Sorry?
He's another 10, isn't he?
Is he not a striker?
No, he played as a 10. Plays in the same kind of formation for Areola that he plays. That Ruben Amorim plays. He'll play as the right forward. Semenyo. Cunha is the left forward. Mount would play over in the right forward. Diallo would play in the right forward position. It would lend itself to Sancho, Rashford and Anthony being gone, but then surely Garnacho's gone.
It could be.
Well,
I don't know.
there's 2 Italian clubs in for Garnacho. Well, 2. That's coming out of the Italian press. Napoli being one of them, and Inter being the other one.
Okay.
So.
Well, here's an interesting one for you, right? So, start, bench, drop. Okay? Mason Mount, Cunha, Garnacho. Fully fit.
It's the left forward role. I would, start Cunha.
Now, do you drop Mason Mount or Alejandro Garnacho?
Who is it bench and then drop?
Yeah, one would make the bench. So one would back up Mateus Cunha, and one you would have to turn around and have the awkward conversation and say, look,
Mount.
You drop Mount?
No, Mount back up Cunha.
I would agree. I think that's a fully fit Mason Mount, right, gets ahead of Alejandro Garnacho.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about that drop in class. There's, I think if you're having starting Mount or starting Cunha fully fit, it's not as much of in that position, not much of a drop off in quality.
Do you agree, Mum?
At present, no. I would go. Cunha will definitely start bringing him in. I would go Garnacho, Mount.
So you drop Mason Mount out of the squad?
But yeah, at present, yeah.
Okay.
I love Mason Mount and I hope he does well. But the way they're playing at the minute, I wouldn't drop Garnacho.
Really?
Really?
I don't think Garnacho's done anything to deserve going on over me. Now, people will argue back and say, right, well, Mount's only some flickers of what he can do in games. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying at present. Like, we haven't seen the best of Mount because he's getting himself up to speed and he's getting himself fully fit, and he has only played, one 90-minute game.
So would you sell Mason Mount?
At present.
Would you sell Mason Mount?
You never said about selling.
No, but I'm just, right, for context, what I'm trying to say is, if you turn around to Mason Mount tomorrow, right, and you say, right, Mason, this is the crack. Next season, we have Mateus Cunha, right, and this is you, the manager, Mum, and I see Alejandro Garnacho as being ahead of you, but we want you to stay and compete with Garnacho to make the bench. Do you think Mount stays?
Yeah.
You think the number 7 for Manchester United is fully fit?
Calm down, Rory. Calm down. Here's my logic, right? I said at the start, at present.
No. Then you're completely discounting the fact they told you next season. So we're not talking present, Mum. You're telling me that you turned around before pre-season instead of Mason Mount.
You didn't say next season.
Yes, I did. If you listened.
Did you say next season, Kieran? I never heard you say next season.
I assumed next season.
Because you're turning around having a conversation with them.
This season's over.
Right, so hold on. We'll wind it back.
Right. Oh no, it would be, I agree with Kieran then. If it's for next season, yes, I agree.
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
So flip the conversation then and have that conversation as a manager with Alejandro Garnacho. Do you think Garnacho stays?
No. Is he going
so the bigger question then is, who are you selling? Because whoever you have this conversation, you're going to have to be clear, right, going into this. after we purchased Cunha on, will it be Saturday? Is Saturday the last game? Right, so Cunha through the door Sunday.
Is it not
Hey?
Sunday?
Sunday, say it, right? We'll play it safe and we'll go next Monday then. So next Monday, who are you sitting down? One of them will have to be sat down. One of them will have to be told you're now third choice left forward at Manchester United. And the reaction will be, I'm going to the door.
It'll definitely be Garnacho, because that's the only one that they can make money on.
Yeah, Garnacho.
So he'll be out, they'll make money, and somebody else will be coming in. Or that goes towards Cunha's.
Are you saying that the only reason United would choose to get rid of Garnacho is because he command a higher transfer fee?
No, not the only reason. No, not the only one.
But you will get.
But it is a factor.
60 million, odd million for Garnacho, which will cover the Cunha fee.
Yeah.
So Garnacho goes.
Yeah. I think so.
Okay, Semenyo.
That's an interesting one. I've only seen it. Talk Sport. I've only seen it a few on Twitter and stuff like that there, or X, if you want to call it. Oh. Adam Morton's the other one I've seen a lot of from Crystal Palace.
I don't think. Do you know what? I said this to you guys about Aberdeen, and it's the reason I'm not talking about it. I said if Palace win the FA Cup, then boys won't want to leave. It galvanises the dressing room to the point where you're sitting going, do you know what? We'll be the first Crystal Palace team to play in the Europa League. And I think the likes of Etse and Wharton, the English lads in particular, would be looking at it going, I fancy that. Etse was on the floor in tears after the final. I just thought, you know what? He's going nowhere. That's meant a lot to him. People will probably argue back and say, oh, well, you know what? That's the perfect way to close out a Crystal Palace. But I think traditionally what we've seen is when you've been at a football club for a while and you win something big with that football club, you give it that one more season, or at least till January, to see, you know, what happens.
Could be right. Either way, but I think there'll be clubs that will try and get a sneaky bit in there for them, like, absolutely.
Oh yeah, you'll test the waters. I just mean, like,
that would be a silly fee.
Yeah, I don't think Everett is going to. What I mean is, like, right, you come tomorrow and you say to Crystal Palace, Kieran, £40 million, right? And I'm Everett and I've just lost the FA Cup final. I will go to Oliver Glasner and I'll say, I want to leave. That was heartbreaking. I don't see us getting there again. 100%. I don't really fancy fighting for the bottom half of the table next year. So can you please, if it's not going to be 40 million, can you at least negotiate with United and get me my transfer? Because it's what I really want. Whereas if Oliver Glasner goes now with a 40 million bid, I'd say he'd probably turn around and say, well, I don't really want to leave, so it's up to you. I'm not going to force you to make me leave.
Pretty much. And fair play to Crystal Palace.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
It shouldn't have happened because Dean Henderson shouldn't have been on the pitch. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. It's a red card.
He's very, very lucky. He's very, very lucky.
Guardiola was very salty about it afterwards, wasn't he?
Rightfully so. What's the point in VAR if you can't? Who watches that back and doesn't award a red card?
It was Stonewall. Sent off.
You know, have they give their decision making for it yet? Have they justified it with?
Not that I've seen.
Madness. But anyway,
I think I think the FA haven't got this month's brown envelope.
They don't get brown envelopes anymore because they're having them done for all their wee.
From City.
Yeah. Do you know what? Drop the hammer.
I mean, their funds are run out.
I would let City get through their game tomorrow night and then punish them on Friday. Just announce that they lost their court case and hammer them for their points fixing scandal, so that not only do they not win a trophy this year, but they get relegated. It would be brilliant. It would be magic.
Just a cherry on the cake. Cherry on top.
Yeah, and then sign Kevin De Bruyne.
Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah. Get De Bruyne in. Right, so the Spurs game. Moving on to the hot topic. Wednesday night. Okay, we did our starting levels and stuff last week. We seen glimpses of Manchester United against Chelsea. I have to admit I didn't watch Spurs the weekend, but you guys told me Pape Sarr went off injured.
Mm-hmm. After half an hour, even off, I think.
So I have this horrible knot in my stomach that United are going to get beat.
So do I.
Because I don't think United did enough to convince me against Chelsea, and Spurs held back because they're going to go hell for leather in the final. We don't do well against Spurs either. I think we talked about this last week. And the one thing that's starting to annoy me now is it feels like the year of the underdog.
Yeah. I was thinking after Palace won at the weekend, I was like, right on. What's going on here?
This doesn't feel good.
Palace have never won a trophy. Newcastle's first trophy in how many years? But Bologna beat Milan in the final of the Italian Cup.
Did they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bologna are the Italian Cup champions.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Coppa Italia. Yeah.
Man.
So it is pointing that way.
And did anyone see the drama last night in the Italian League?
No.
Watching the
Napoli and Inter.
Napoli and Inter, yeah. So obviously not playing each other. The two of them playing separate games. I think Napoli played Parma, was it? And couldn't score against Parma. Conte completely lost the rag and got sent off. Then we were heading into the last few minutes. Dumfries put the ball across the box and Inter had it in the back of the net to be winning 3-2 in the game, which means they would have been in pole position to win the league. That got ruled out. Then Napoli, one of their players, hit the ground in the fit. This is all within 30 seconds of each other when they played like 9 minutes stoppage time, and they announced the penalty. And Napoli had a penalty to win the league. And then they went to VAR and they ruled the penalty out for a free kick that happened 2 transitions back.
That was proper. That was right.
Madness. Absolutely. I was listening to it in TalkSport and then I got home and brilliant. So all of this to say football is on one this season. Liverpool, you have to say, like, not to take away from Liverpool, right? Slot's first season in at the football club, who had them pegged as favourites for the Premier League and to win it so convincingly? Nobody. So I just
no pundit had Liverpool. I don't think had Liverpool.
Yeah, there's something in the air this season, and it does not lend to Manchester United beating Spurs, guys. I hate to say it.
Who won?
2-1.
Many times has this 2-1 worked out for you this season, by the way?
I think it's been 50-50.
Give or take.
That's good for me.
That is nonsense.
I don't know. Well, the last time City went trophyless, United won the Europa League.
Oh, that's a good statistic. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And here's another one. Casemiro's never lost a European final.
Really?
Yeah. He's played 7-1-7.
Here's one that's just come to me, right? If Manchester United win the Europa League, has Ruben Amorim had a better season than Pep Guardiola?
Yeah.
Now there's the roaring debate. Would you rather finish in the top 4 and make the Champions League, or win the Europa Cup and finish?
Well, it's a cup.
I'd rather win. I'm not just being a United fan. I'd rather win the Europa League. Surely you want the cup final, win the cup, up in the Champions League,
and it's a prestigious cup.
Yeah. So Amorim would be more successful. He is more. That's a fact. It's not opinion. He is more successful this season than Pep Guardiola, but has he had a better season?
Premier League wise, no.
Mum, there's only 3 clubs lower than us in the Premier League, so you could argue that flipping David Moyes has had a better season than Ruben Amorim.
4 clubs.
Oh, is it 4 now?
4.
Yeah, Spurs.
Are they not ahead of us?
No.
Are they
we're ahead of them.
Are they 17th?
Yeah.
Fuck me, but what a final this is going to be. Dumb against dumber.
I'm grasping at straws here.
So that's what I was tuning into some of the Liverpool forums and the Arsenal forums, just for crack, and they're all having epic meltdowns, especially the Arsenal ones, that how can a team like that finished 17th and 16th in the league play in the Champions League just by winning the Europa League final? I thought that's the way it goes, lads.
That's it, really. Sure, Crystal Palace, they're 12th, 13th.
The Europa League now.
Yeah.
United can get relegated,
you know what I mean?
Win the Europa League, and still be in the Champions. It's the fucking rules.
Imagine.
Yeah.
We didn't
imagine playing the Champions League and you're in the Championship.
See, that's what they're saying. Oh, we achieved this and we got so many points here, and United's going to get in, and our Spurs are going to get in, and it's not fair.
So I'll take that from the Liverpool fans, okay? Not the Arsenal fans.
Yeah, Arsenal as well.
Go and win something and then give up shit.
They're an epic meltdown at the minute over
We've had a
Academy.
cup. As poor as we've been, we've had a cup every single year. Maybe one day you'll find out how that feels. Okay? They've won nothing. Their season has been poor again. It's a fail again this season. And
Second place
for as
trophy.
much as I dislike him, I agreed with Paul Merson. If Arteta is not pushing the top of the league by Christmas time, he must be sacked. How many seasons are Arsenal going to go as the great pretenders and not win the league?
Yeah, they're the nearly
They
team.
really are. But we've digressed away from the Spurs performance. Do we think we win?
Arsenal, they're like Netflix. Always another season.
I for Yellowstone. Who's raising it ended. Kevin Costner, what are you at, lad? You just gave up on us.
Well,
yeah, what do you think? Honest thoughts and feelings.
I think we win.
You confident? What fills you full of confidence, Mo? For people that would question that.
What fills me full of confidence is we've a strong squad and a much stronger bench than Tottenham will have. We have players that can come off the bench to change a game. We need to score goals though, right? But Spurs will have a very weak bench because of their injuries. So does Postecoglou stick or twist with us? Does he play his strong team at the start or does he hold back? Well, we can play our strong team and still have players sitting on the bench that can influence the game.
You would think he does what he did the last time and just goes at United because United can't handle the press.
Well, he's going to have to do that.
But
if it's a deadlock in the second half, say it's a deadlock in the 60th minute, the 65th minute, whatever, we have better options than Spurs.
No, I get that, and I agree. But I think if I remember the last Spurs game, and I think we only lost it 1-0, then we come away from that going, how did we only get beat 1-0 there? Did Spurs press us really high?
That's football again. And our big bugbear is our goal scorer.
And our passing, Mum. We're not a cohesive team of keeping the ball.
Our passing's atrocious as well, but it's goal scoring as well.
Well, not in the Europa League.
We've been very good in the Europa League.
Well,
3-1 against Sociedad, 4-1 against
7-1. Leon. People say, we can't score, they're going to trounce us.
But I don't think you can count this as a standard Europa League game when you consider you're playing Spurs, because Spurs know United. There's no uncertainty where you've got Bilbao and Sociedad trying to work us out and what way are we going to play and stuff. Ange has played Amorim. He'll know what's coming, he'll know the strengths, he'll know the weaknesses, he'll know how to set up.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be awkward for United, I think, on the night. I don't think it's going to be a great game. I really hope I'm wrong, but I think both these managers' uncertainty over what's going on with themselves is going to seep into their football teams, and it's going to make for a very nervy, cagey game. I also think they must be up to high dough. I would say they're sitting right now tonight and will be sitting tomorrow night tweaking and going through things with their teams and their coaches and overthinking it and trying to play the perfect tactical game that it could end up a real stalemate.
Do you think the occasion you'll get the Spurs?
I do. Hopefully.
The Bilbao Stadium was not nice to play in. It's a very uncomfortable atmosphere because it's one of those good old European pitches that's, the stadium's fantastic, but the fans are very close to the pitch. The noise inside that stadium sounded absolutely mental, every decision that went against them. So I think if the United fans come out in force, Spurs fans will come out in force too, but the United players are used to playing at Wembley in cup finals. And yeah, Kieran, you could be onto something. Will the Spurs players brick it if United turn up in full voice?
But we've played in that. That's on that pitch.
Well, they brick it.
There's a bit of Bilbao fans as well. Whoever they're choosing to, sport, whatever. But we have the advantage that we've played 90 minutes on that pitch.
That could be big.
And maybe that's why Tottenham is flying out tonight and we're waiting until tomorrow to fly out.
I don't think we need night training over there. We know what it's like.
Yeah, but that's what it. Tottenham's probably over there now, Rory, to get in the, the
good
atmosphere
point.
in the stadium, to test the pitch out, and stuff like that. We've played 90 minutes on that
we played
pitch.
in Bilbao, we played in Sociedad. I don't think we need to acclimatise to the Spanish atmosphere and the Spanish pitch. That's a very good point, actually. I think United have an advantage in that sense that they'll be used to the pitch. They've seen it. They'll know the stadium. Be a familiarity to it. Right, so this leads us on then to the last segment, which is going to be talking about Manchester United and Ruben Amorim post Europa League. Okay, so a very brief synopsis for the two of you. What happens to Manchester? We'll take both scenarios. What happens to Manchester United and Ruben Amorim if United lose, in your opinions?
Well, I think it definitely affects the players we go for in the window, or not that we go for or are able to attract. I think it'll affect that there. I think, do we get rid of players who wants to come in? I think it'll not start things off next season on a positive mind note. It'll heap more pressure on the start of next season. I think he keeps his job.
Oh yeah, I don't think he loses his job
because I think he has to get a pre-season and a transfer window at least. But if results in the league and everything, if he loses this final, pick up where the way things are going this season in the league, I think Amorim could be the first out the door.
Yeah, Mom.
If he doesn't get the results and get enough players in the door that can play his system flawlessly.
I agree with certain points that Kieran's made. There's no way that Ruben Amorim is sacked. It'll be disappointing, of course it will, and it'll be disappointing to lose out on that money. However, it's not going to make a difference to that team because half of that team will be gone. So for me, I think the period between at the start of the season and Christmas is vital for his survival.
Yeah.
They'll not sack him within 2 months. I don't think they will. But I think at Christmas time, if we're sitting mid-table, irrespective of winning the Europa League or not, that's at Christmas. If we're mid-table, I think he will go.
Yeah, I'd say the board have contingency plan for both scenarios, but to Kieran's point, I don't think Manchester United will be able to have the summer that they need to have for Ruben Amorim to be successful if they can't get the Champions League money. Because the horrible scenario is for one of these football clubs, because of the poor season you've inflicted on yourselves, you're going to cost yourself any European football. You're also going to cost yourself a lot of money. The Adidas contract slips into a 75% overture if Manchester United aren't in the Champions League. The 100 million that you get for getting into the Champions League could be completely transformative to what Ruben Amorim wants to do at Man United. I just think that the implications and the consequences of losing this game are bigger for Manchester United as a football club in the future than they are for Spurs. I don't think Spurs are going to rip the world light. I don't think that if Ange loses, he goes, but I still think if Ange wins, he goes. I think Ange will be out the door even if he wins this in the first few months of next season or Christmas time. I think Ruben Amorim has a chance to do something at Man United, but he needs to win this. It's a massive game, and he must be feeling the pressure of that because
he does. I think it's more massive game for United. I think
everyone says, "Oh yeah," but it's bigger for Spurs. Spurs haven't won a trophy. Trophies.
Has to be. I think I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, I think Ange is gone anyway.
Ange will be sacked. Ange Postecoglou will be sacked. Regardless of what happens. He's gone.
Spurs. They're not as broke as we are. They're not as crippled that way in financially. They have a new they have their new stadium. And Spurs are Spurs. They don't win anything anyway. So
Kieran, don't put the blame on it.
That's a big statement to be before a cup final, Paul.
Pressure on us.
Yeah.
On United to win. Unfortunately.
So, yes, folks, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching on the YouTube channel. Give the socials a like and subscribe, and we will be back next week.
Bye, everyone.
Folks. Bye.